Let's try again. Hello everybody, my name is Ose and I've just turned my microphone on because I'm an idiot. So today we are on Marwell Manor, Farm Sim 19, taking an extended first look at the map. So far I've sold the big Fent, which was worth about £390,000, and a big cultivator, which was the only piece of equipment that required the horsepower of the Fent. So we sell those, we get almost £400,000. With those proceeds, I've bought a smaller Fent with the front loader attachment. I haven't bought the arms yet, and I've bought a little round baler because the field that we own that is ready to harvest has barley, so it is going to produce a lot of hay for us. Now, I'm kind of new to this map, so I don't know where I'm going. There's a signpost up here. This looks good. Oh, Manor Farm. Okay. So we're going to run this down to the field. We kept the starting John Deere, as I said, which has 280 horsepower. No, we don't want to... Oops. Yeah. Don't want to disturb the Lord of the Manor. Let's continue down the road to the farm. That would be a really good plan. I am literally new to this map. All I've done is I've watched a couple of first look videos, and I didn't pay much attention because I was doing other things at the time. But as with any farm, first thing I do, you get in, you examine the equipment. As I said, big 400 horsepower tractor, 350 horsepower tractor, and a cultivator that needed 300 horsepower. Everything else needs less than 280. So we don't need the big tractor, we don't need the cultivator because the seeder we have allows us to seed without cultivating. So get rid of them. It gives us money to work with. Number two, we need income. Now check the silo. We've got a bunch of grain in the silo which we can sell, and we have this field here that's ready to harvest. Because it's ready to harvest, it's the state it's in. I can't fertilize it, I can't do anything to it. So all we're going to do here is collect the grain. That'll give us a good supply of ready cash. Not immediate cash, but I can sell the grain when it's got a good price and gives me more starting capital. The next field over has I think it's cultivated. The problem is all of the fields we have require to be ploughed. So that's not going to help us. We are going to have to go out and plough everything. So I kind of want to get to the point where we're not desperate for money. So selling the starting tractor, the big tractor and the cultivator, that's given us a good safety buffer of operating. No, I keep missing. Been a long time since I manually did any round baling work. Yes, I sold the MT49. I am inclined to plough the field. Obviously, because this field is ready to harvest, I'm taking it as is, so it's got the plough. There hasn't been ploughed penalty. It hasn't been limed, so there's no lime bonus. There's no fertilization bonus. It's literally I did it again. It's literally crop as is. Not a big deal, because it's free crop. I didn't pay for the seed, I didn't pay for anything. It's just straight up, hey, let's pull what's on the field off. I need to move the camera closer so that we can hear that beeping a little more obviously. But it's the thing I do in every farm I start up. You look, if you're starting new manager mode, check your equipment. If you can't make use of the equipment immediately, consider selling it. I mean, the thing is, we've got a mower, we've got a grass field. I'm going to have to bring the harvester back down here and trim the bottom of the field as well. At the moment, we'll let it run. I'm really not doing well with this baling lark. And it's something I recommended in the last one. Do what you can with the equipment you've got. When you start on Ravenport, you got 3 tractors. 2 of them are the case tractors, and okay, I can make use of 1 of them. I don't need 2 because it's just me farming. And then the other one's a Fiat. None of them can use a front loader. So sell the Fiat, sell 1 of the cases, buy a small tractor that is capable of using a front loader, and you've got 2 tractors that will cover pretty much every job you want to do on the farm. Now, obviously, on Ravenport you have a field that's harvested, a field that needs to be cultivated, and a field that needs to be seeded. So you can cultivate the field with the case, you can harvest with the harvester, and then cultivate that field with the case also. And meanwhile, the second case is running around seeding each field as it comes to it. So once all the cultivation work's done, you can sell that case. Take the Fiat down to the store, sell that, buy a tractor that you've got reasonable horsepower, fairly cheap, and has front loader capabilities. And then you're pretty much all set to continue farming there. So in this case, I've got 2 tractors. This is a small manoeuvrable tractor, so I can get it around the yard. It's a British yard, so it's quite tight in places. And I decided to go for the Fendt because I haven't used any Fendts. The only Fendt I've used so far in any of the playthroughs is the Favourite 150, Favourite 15C, 500C. Nice little tractor, good starting tractor. But I've used it so much that time for something different. I've also done a farm with small and a large Massey, so I figured we'll replace a big Fendt with a small Fendt. So what I'm doing here, I've decided to call sort of an extended first look at a map. So we're going to basically work the map. Consider what equipment we've got, make some optimum choices on it. The harvester's got stuck again. And generally just potter around. So let's go jump in the harvester. do is I'll run another row here. And the farm has a silo, so it has a bunch of grains ready to sell. That's kind of good. But as is usual with British style farms, the fields are very tight. We've got to work quite hard to clear an area so that we can actually get the tractor into the field. I could just about get the harvester into this field. Using a bigger harvester probably wouldn't work too well. Oh, we've got telegraph poles in the middle of the field as well. That's going to make things interesting. When it comes to achievements, I still haven't completed all of them on Farm Sim 17 yet. Problem is you do have to do all, you have to do a set on a single save. So I'm probably going to get most of the work. You've harvested, you've cultivated, you've seeded, you've fertilized. I'm probably going to finish most of those off on Estancia Lapacho, since I've done quite a lot of work on that farm and it was the first stream series I did. Outside of that, I'll probably end up doing different farms with different animals and try and work those in. So I'll get a farm and just concentrate on chickens and do 200 chickens or whatever they need to be bred. Why don't you want to go? Seriously? Why don't you want to go? It's blocked by an object. There is no object. Seriously. Okay, this field is giving me issues. It's going to make harvesting it a problem. Yes, Pi. I changed out the big Fent. All of the starting equipment you have on the farm can be pulled by the John Deere, except for the cultivator, and the seeder doesn't require the cultivator to be run before you use it, before you seed. So strikes me as a little bit pointless to have the cultivator when I can just run the seeder over. Yeah, I could just run the seeder straight over this field and it would be good. And since it was only the cultivator that had the high horsepower requirement that demanded the Fent, if I don't have the cultivator I don't need the Fent, so I can get rid of that, and that's why we have over £300,000 in the bank at the moment. So with those proceeds I bought the small Fent 300, fully up-engined, and a small round baler, so that we can collect this straw. I'm thinking I will probably introduce cows onto this farm, just as something different. And so by doing that, I'm going to need this straw. We've got a grass field that I believe is ready to be cut, so I can go and cut that. I can bale that grass up. I'll probably buy a small tedder and the round bale wrapper, So I can make hay, I can make silage off that field. We'll go and get ourselves a TMR mixer, and we should then be good to go out and buy a few cows and get that started. What I'll probably do is, because all of these fields need to be ploughed, I'll just go ahead and say oh, shoot, destroying crops. Okay, how are we going to do this? This is difficult. Like I said, British maps, horrible field layout. So we will pull around to about there and go and get the John Deere. Kind of going around the field the wrong way as well, so that's not helping. If you cut a couple of headlands around it, if you go clockwise, oh jeez, okay, tree obstacles, then it keeps the pipe on the outside, so it's easier to empty the harvester. Should be able to fit in there. There we go. Eventually I will use the bunker, but I think what I want to do is get some cows on the farm as quickly as possible so we can start producing milk, and then while they're taking care of themselves I can get this tractor here ploughing up the fields that are ready to be planted. Because at this stage of the at this stage of the game you kind of want to make sure that everything you're doing is either directly creating income or has the potential to create income. The problem is this, harvesting this field, immediate income. So it's a good thing to do. But once that's done, and because I've got to plough the fields in order to maximize the in order to maximize the yield, I kind of don't really want to waste time not planting stuff. Problem is I've only got one heavy tractor that can haul the seeder and the plough, so still I'm not emptying the baler. So because of that, I may just decide seed one of the fields immediately, and we'll take the loss of crop yield from not ploughing, and then plough the second field. So at least one of the fields is currently in production. this stage you want to keep the farm moving. Run around the back of that. Partial strip there, and come back to the rest. But also from my examination of the main farmyard, there are some tight areas of the farm, so a small tractor like this one is going to fit quite nicely. Front loader, use bales, we should be able to get around. And once we've got the cows established, throwing down grass into the silage bunker is a consideration, although once again that's an expense because I will need a loading wagon to move the grass. Okay, something's stuck. Oh, the harvester's stuck. Ah, no, do not touch the harvester. I'm going to have to start that exactly where it is now. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, I'm going to have to destroy crop. And there we go. Okay, that's moving. I think this is full enough that I should probably go empty it. So we're finding issues with workers thinking that they're blocked on this field, which is going to be a problem. I'm now getting to the point where I've cleared sufficient of the headland that I can maneuver around the field quite easily. So this field on the right is the one I need to work on next. Now it looks to be cultivated, however it doesn't have, it hasn't been ploughed, so I am going to lose out on some of the yield. We have a liquid sprayer, which we can use to fertilize with, and the seeder includes solid fertilizer. We've got a lime station there, but we don't have a lime spreader. So that's the thing, getting the equipment you need in order to do what you want to do. And part of that is I'm going to need straw, I'm going to need to cut the grass and move it. They gave me a what do you call it, a mower. But they didn't give me any way to pick up grass or hay, and they only gave me $100,000. or £100,000. That's not enough to buy all of the equipment you need for handling grass. Oh, I've been driving up there for ages. Ugh. Frequently I end up in driving round in circles with this baler. One of the reasons I like Follow Me is you could stick this tractor and a round baler on Follow Me behind a harvester, and it drives around and picks up the straw, drops it off. You don't have to worry about constantly unloading it, stopping it and unloading it, because the helper's actually programmed to do that for you. Agile little tractor, we can get around places. Kind of want to be careful where I drop this, so I'm going to pull forwards a distance. I don't want to block the harvester, so let's see if we can get past fast enough. Oh yeah. So farm has a as I said, farm has a built-in workshop, a silo, lots of barns. So we've got a lot of storage space. So much so we could actually use some of the storage space to store grain on the ground. Which, depending how much we end up with, we may end up doing. Grab that bit where the John Deere was parked when we came down here the first time. Oh, that bale up there is going to be a problem, I think. Opera F has a full grain tank. Oh, that is so convenient. Stopped again. Hi, Aerial Scorcher, and yes, JWoww, it has. And I had a thought today that we may not have a multiplayer, or he may not be streaming multiplayer truck sim on Thursday because Valentine's Day. I went out to dinner today. I hate doing Valentine's Day and stuff like that because it's almost impossible to get a seat at a restaurant or whatever. Now that's not a confirmation he won't be streaming, but I'm kind of thinking he probably won't be after this last week. Well, I got married on the 14th of March, which means it's easy to remember, and it's not a date that everybody else is going out to eat. Depending on the year, my birthday kind of sucks because it's the 20th of December, and that can be, middle of office party season. So going out on my birthday can be a complete washout sometimes. This tractor doesn't. The tractor doesn't have a beacon. There are some advantages to having a birthday close to Christmas. Oops, I just noticed that. One of them is that, at least within the family, while there are considerations, oh, should we get you a birthday present or a Christmas present or both, or my family used to say, okay, you can have 2 small presents, one for your birthday, one for Christmas, or you can have a really big one which covers both. So that makes things a little bit more special. Oh. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell with her raiding his Facebook account so frequently. It'd be easier if messages from her came from her and messages from him came from him. Well, it depends on your age. I mean, when I was a kid, I was into model trains, and so I could get sort of a locomotive or a couple of carriages, or I could get a whole train. So, you sort of say, I'll have the whole train. Again, with not noticing. Doing it this way does allow me to keep the bales out of the way. For the most part. I mean, obviously, as I got older, give me cash. Because obviously at that point, if there's one big thing I want and I get enough cash, I can just buy the one big thing. Try and miss that. I'll go down the middle one. Well, the harvester seems to be doing okay. Still not even halfway through the field, though. must admit, I prefer a square baler, but at this stage, we're kind of trying to save money rather than, you know, I'm going to need to buy more equipment and stuff. And if I'm going with cows, I'm going to have to buy some cows. The sooner I can get them making milk, the better. So I don't want to spend all my money on stuff right now. It'll probably turn out, yeah, I could have square baled everything, but also square balers are bigger, need more horsepower, aren't going to be as easy to get round fields that are this tight. Same with loading wagons, which is why I liked some of the smaller loading wagons in Farm Sim 17. There was the entry level one in game, but there were also a couple of mod ones based on that one that were even smaller, about 16,000 litres. Only have a single axle, so they're very easy to get around, or they're easier to get around tight spots. Harvester's nearly full again. Hopefully it can make the full length of the field before it gets stuck. How do I like the map so far? It's kind of hard to say right this minute. I mean, as I said, I've just started it. We've been playing well, we've been playing for sufficient amount of time to get this much of this field harvested. And once this field is harvested, we're kind of done with the harvester until we got another crop to do. So I have seen one suggestion that hey, get rid of the harvester, because that's an immediate £200,000 in the bank, and you're only going to use it for a couple of hours when you as you harvest each field. So why have so much money tied up in it? And that's what I did for Lawfolds. Playing with seasons. The first couple of years I only planted crops that required this style of header. Actually, I still do. And so sold the harvester straight off the bat, and then with the proceeds I had enough operating capital to run that entire first year, and at the end of the year I leased a harvester for a day and a half. Now that's kind of expensive, but it's cheaper than having the harvester on hand. I didn't have to pay any maintenance on it. I think I did that for the second year as well. Rented a harvester at the end of the year, and then for the third year I bought my own harvester, because it was kind of getting to the point where I had more fields and the harvest was taking longer. You know, after five years on that farm, it's now at the point where I'm kind of thinking I want a second harvester. Nope, that one there, and you're not blocked. Keep going. Go, 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 go. Thank you. And yeah, obviously playing Farm Sim 17 with seasons, it does mean you only need the harvester once in a while. So tying up all that money in expensive equipment that, comparatively speaking, practically never gets used, leasing's a plan. Obviously not playing seasons, with the plant growth cycles, you're probably using the harvester every other day, so it's a bit of a bind to lease it for an hour, but it's going to take you 20 minutes to drive it from the store as well. And in Farm Sim 19 you don't have the daily maintenance cost. You just have to pay to maintain the vehicle when you've as it's used. Obviously for this farm we'll see how we go. $369,000. We've got all this barley to sell. We've still got the grains in the silo to sell. So that's all free money. Exactly. And so, yes, I can see that. I've also heard tell that on some farms, what people will do is they contract out baling, and there are companies that have balers and big tractors and the bale loading wagons, and they will go and do the baling jobs for all the farms in the area, because those mechanical bale trailers are, from what I gather, can be quite expensive to keep maintained. Lots of moving parts. So if you've got a baling company that deals with all of that maintenance on their own equipment, you just pay them to come in and collect your stuff. I'm not sure what my local farmer does to collect his bales. He's got a tiny case baler, old class baler that's about the size of this thing. Caught him running around his field baling away. We're doing wage payments. That's an annoyance. Then once you get to farm to a state where you know you're comfortably making money at a reasonable rate, and you know when the money's coming in, at that point you can make better planned decisions on what you're going to do next. So at this point I just want to make the money. As soon as we've figured out how much money we can make and how quickly we can make it, we can then start thinking about where do we go from there. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing we've done on. I think we've kind of tried to do on the Michigan map, the Friday multiplayer, where we've got people who bought equipment just so they can do jobs. And then you've got other people who bought land who need to get the jobs done. They can't necessarily afford the huge equipment because they've got so much invested in the land. Okay, harvester's back on track. Making quite a few bales here. It's kind of nice. That's done too. Not full. Oh. Fine straw. Seven. A little bit there. Looks like a tiny bit there, although that could be shadows. There we go. Yeah, now rice is a possibility. Was it Real Farming that had rice as one of their crops? Can't remember. I think the problem we've seen with all the recent crops is while they're a bit of a novelty, they're not particularly single player harvest friendly. I mean, this harvest is quite a bit of work because you can't use a worker to collect the straw. So either you just shred it, or you have to collect it yourself. But, soybeans is an easy crop. It takes ages to fill up the harvester. And so you don't have to babysit it constantly. Sugar beets isn't necessarily an enjoyable crop to work on, but it does, the harvester's quite big and it can give you at least ample time to take the sugar beets somewhere and drop them on the ground. or into a beet storage. But potatoes, pain in the backside, because the harvester doesn't have a decent working width. And so, oops, drop that. And it doesn't have a decent capacity. Even the big harvester doesn't have a decent working width. It doesn't have a large capacity. So you are emptying that about as quickly as it fills up. Similar with cotton, not cotton. What's the other one? Sugarcane. I mean, you have to have a trailer following around that harvester. Now you can hitch up a trailer to the harvester, but when it fills up, and it fills up really quickly, then you've got to take the trailer away and empty it somewhere, which is either time that excuse me, the harvester is sitting doing nothing, or you need another vehicle, hauled alongside with the trailer. Not a really convenient crop, and it's such a high density crop. The volume of crop that you're pulling off a field means that the harvester needs constant attention. Now, cotton isn't too bad. I mean, it's not particularly quick, but I could stick a cotton harvester out on a field, and it'll be perfectly happy under a worker to drive up and down the field and drop big giant cotton bales every so often in the middle of the field. Oh, what's happening now? Oh, seriously? Okay, I'll get out of your way. How about that? But there's rumours of carrots, and I've looked at YouTube videos of carrot harvesters, and they look to be about as painful as potato harvesters to do, and they're not fun even in multiplayer. At least they're doable in multiplayer, but it takes ages to clear a field. The money's good. I did a potato harvest on Goldcrest as a contract, and that was a big case of never again. I did my own sugar beet harvest on one of the big fields just on the south side of the main strip, and that took me about 4 hours. The harvester was running as a worker, and I was emptying that thing like crazy. 480,000 litres of beets came off that field, and to be able to sell them all without crashing the market, I ended up sticking them all on the train and sold 400,000 litres in one go. It wasn't the best price, but it was the most efficient way to do it because the train stop where you could just empty the entire 400,000. The other 70,000 I shipped them over to where the pig farm was, so I could